Hello, fourth graders. This is Mr. Leonard, and I'm excited to share with you today the second lesson on expository writing. And you'll recall from the first lesson that we read this book, parts of this book, about Australia. And then we ended our lesson with hopefully you brainstorming or thinking about countries that you would like to possibly write about, and making a list of countries or a country that you had some interest in. So today we're going to continue, and we're going to be reading from another book. And the book we're going to be reading from is called Kenya, Questions and Answers. And it's written by Sarah Louise Cross. And this is written in a very different format. Just by saying Q&A at the top, it's questions and answers, and we're going to look at how this is different than the previous expository fiction or nonfiction book that we just read. I also want you to be thinking about the word curiosity and what curiosity means, because writers tend to write about things that they're very curious about. And what makes good writing is when you can pique somebody's curiosity. So hopefully your curiosity will be piqued today when we read about Kenya. And if we think of curiosity, we're thinking about the definition of curiosity, right? So curiosity is a wish to know something more about something. And it could be based on any topic, right? Like, when are we going to be able to go back to school? That could be a curiosity that you have right now. As we look at this, the author presents questions and then goes about answering it. So I really love this format. And as we start to explore our own writing and thinking about how we're going to do our country reports, maybe this is one way that you would like to do that. So what are you curious about Kenya? Is there anything? Kenya is in Africa. It's kind of near the central part of Africa, right next to Somalia, which many of our students are from. If you look at the table of contents, the author starts off with some of the questions that he or she has, and you can see that some of these are around the topics of what is school like in Kenya. So what a lot of readers will do is just look at the table of contents and go maybe to an area of interest, but this just kind of gives them that opportunity. And then at the bottom of the page, you'll see another section in the blue box called Features, where you can get fast facts, you can learn some Swahili words, and you can look at some other internet sites for further information. So in this chapter, we'll be talking about where is Kenya? And it says Kenya is a country in Eastern Africa. It is about the size of the U.S. state of Texas. Kenya has many kinds of landforms. Sandy beaches line the coast along the Indian Ocean. North of the coast are grasslands called savannas. And we'll notice that this text feature, the word savannas, is in bold type. And that tells us it is an important vocabulary word. In the north is the Shelby Desert. Mountains and plateaus rise up in the west. They include Mount Kenya, the highest point in the country. The Great Rift Valley splits the highlands. And then we have a photograph at the bottom with a caption that says, Kenya savannas support a great deal of wildlife, including giraffes and zebras. And then on the other side, on the other page, we have a map of Kenya. And we can see in the legend that shows that the capital is Nairobi. And some of the major cities, mountain ranges, rivers, and so forth. Kenya's location on the equator makes the country warm. Kenya's desert lands in the north are the driest areas. The savannas are also dry but receive more rain than deserts. The highlands receive the most rainfall. When did Kenya become a country? Kenya became an independent country on December 12, 1963. Before that, it was governed by the United Kingdom, the UK, often referred to as Britain. The British began their rule in 1895. They took the best land for farming. The British passed laws so that Africans could not own land. Africans also could not vote. In the 1940s, a group called the Kikuyu objected to these laws. They joined with other Africans to challenge and fight the British. Many Africans were jailed or killed. And then we have a fact box another text feature at the bottom of the page says, Jomo Kenyatta was a leader of the Africans challenging British rule. He was jailed for 8 years for his ideas and his actions. In 1963, the British government left the country. Jomo Kenyatta was elected the first president of the newly formed Kenya. After he died in 1978, Vice President Daniel Arap Moi became president. And here we have a photograph with a caption, after being in prison, Jomo Kenyatta helped Kenya gain independence and became its first president. So now we've learned how Kenya became a country. And now we get to learn about what school is like in Kenya. Kenyan children go to primary school from ages 6 to 14. Primary school is free in Kenya, but families must pay for uniforms and books at most schools. Some Kenyans cannot afford to buy these things. For this reason, some children never go to school. After completing primary school, all students must take a test. If they pass, they can continue on to secondary school. And the photograph at the bottom has a caption, many students in Kenya must buy school uniforms to wear in class, and it shows you their uniforms. Many schools in Kenya are simple, square buildings made of concrete. There are openings for windows, but often there is no glass. Some of these schools don't have desks. Students must sit on benches to learn the day's lessons. And the caption in the photograph says, students in Nairobi play outside in their schoolyard. So you can see that children in Kenya, there are some similarities, and yet there are some differences from the way schools are here in Washington. What are the traditional foods of Kenya? Ugali is an important part of the Kenyan diet. Maize is mixed with water, which is a type of a corn, to create a batter. When the batter is cooked, vegetables or meat are added. In towns and cities, street merchants sell many kinds of food. Fruit, nuts, rice, and beans are common items. Samosas, peanuts, and roasted corn are popular snacks. Samosas are fried pastries filled with vegetables, spices, and sometimes meat. Fact: some Kenyan ethnic groups herd cattle. These groups mix cow milk with cow blood for food. And here we have, it looks like a photograph of a market. It says outdoor markets in Kenya cities can be quite colorful places to shop for all kinds of food. Boy, that makes me hungry. Kenyans enjoy many types of local fruits. Bananas, mangoes, pineapples, and other fruits grow well in the Kenyan soil. Although Kenya is famous for its coffee, tea is the most common drink. Kenyans usually add sugar and milk to their hot beverages. What is family life like in Kenya? City life and country life are very different in Kenya. In the country, family members work on their farms. Women and girls tend crops, cook, clean, collect water, and gather firewood. Men and boys herd the livestock. Relatives often live close together. And then the table down at the bottom says, what are the ethnic backgrounds of people in Kenya? And I won't read all of those, but you can see it is a very diverse country. In the city, family members choose from a variety of jobs. More women work outside the home. Grandparents, aunts, and uncles may live much farther apart. While city and country life are different, one thing remains the same. All Kenyans value family loyalty. They care for each other and show great respect for their elders. And then here in the photograph, it says Kenyan families live and work close together whenever they can, especially in the country. I just want to quickly point out toward the end of the book, they have some special features to look at. The Kenyan Fast Facts page, which talks about the land area in square miles, also in kilometers. And then the temperature, you'll notice that their average temperature is 77 degrees in January, which is their kind of warmer time of the year. And then in July, their average temperature is 69 degrees, so not a lot of fluctuation in temperature. But you will notice that January tends to be like their summer, what we might call summer temperatures, and that their July, which is is their cooler season, which is similar to kind of Seattle's temperatures in the summer. Maybe Seattle's temperatures are a little bit higher than that, but that is considered as their winter month. And then it shows a picture of some money, what their flag, the Kenyan flag, looks like, and the colors that are represented, and the shield that has 2 spears in the middle of the flag. Some of you may be familiar with this. Jambo, that is the word for hello in Swahili, which is the official language. But there are other languages that are spoken in Kenya. And here we see a glossary. We also have internet sites that you can look at if you want to pause the video to learn more. In this section here, it tells you how to find out more about Kenya. In fact, the facthound.com site might be a good place no matter what country you're deciding to study. So keep that in mind. Maybe find a place in your notebook to write that down. I also want you to write down the secret word of the lesson. The secret word of the lesson is Jambo. 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 That might be important later on. So what is something you learned about Kenya today? I hope that if you were to write your own question and answer book on a country of choice, that this book demonstrated to you some things you could consider as topics for your chapters. You will spend the next few minutes writing on your own, maybe coming up with questions, things that you're curious about, or topics about the country that you will soon be writing about. During your 10 to 15 minute writing time today in your notebook, I would like you to do at least 2 of the bulleted items in this little table here. And the second one says, add to the list of countries that you started. It wasn't yesterday necessarily, but from our previous writing lesson. So if you're still brainstorming countries that you may want to research and write about, you may do that. The second one says, write something you know about a country. So some of you have connections to different countries around the world, and you can continue to write about that. This is all rough draft work, so do not feel like this has to be in a polished, published type format. And then lastly, you may if you get finished with that, you may spend a few minutes writing about anything you choose. How are you feeling today? What's going on right now in your life? What are you hoping to see happen in the next few weeks or the next few days? And so I want to thank you for this opportunity for us to look at Kenyan together and for us to kind of explore this opportunity to write about a country of choice. So long until next time.